you know, the members of the judiciary, stakeholders in the government, and they, as we mentioned before, have been seated inside Gordon House at this point in time.
This year, the Guard of Honor is furnished by the Jamaica Defense Force, the 1st Jamaica Regiment, Jamaica Defense Force 1JR, and you are hearing the Guard Commander at the moment. It's interesting to note that this year the Guard of Honor comprises 96 members of the Jamaica National Service Corps, and the Jamaica National Service Corps will now become the main way persons can join the Jamaica Defense Force, and of course it is a component of the Prime Minister's HOPE program. So 96 members of the Jamaica National Service Corps are part of this Guard of Honor that you're seeing right now.
Yes, indeed, and you can see them resplendent in their red, looking quite formal, quite professional, and conducting themselves in the manner expected of such a corps.
And of course, the ceremonial opening of Parliament has its roots in the first such ceremony that occurred in 1962 when Jamaica became independent, and at that time the throne speech was delivered by Princess Margaret.
Absolutely. Today the throne speech, of course, will be delivered by the representative of the former head of state, the Queen, and that is the Governor General, His Excellency Sir Patrick Allen.
Today's Guard Commander is Captain A. Warren, Captain Raymond A. Warren, and the subaltern of the Guard is Lieutenant Blake J. Roper.
Yes, and we are awaiting the arrival of the Acting Commissioner of Police, who will inspect the Guard, and the Chief of Defense Staff also. And so we're just getting everything into shape. And you can hear the resounding stamp as the Guard of Honor gets.
And Theodore, as has been the tradition for years, the supporters of the People's National Party usually gather at the southern end. They should be there right now awaiting their representatives,
Yes.
while the representatives of the Jamaica Labour Party, or the supporters of the Jamaica Labour Party, are gathered at the northern end awaiting their representatives.
And you know, Lorraine, you had mentioned that all of this is steeped in tradition. The northern end is gathered at by the JLP, because of the Bustamante Industrial Trade Union. That was where it was located, and they used to gather there before making the march to Parliament. So they took that side, and the PNP took the south, one coming up, one coming down, converging on Gordon House.
Just before this, we witnessed the arrival of Acting Commissioner of Police Clifford Blake.
And he took the office earlier this month following the departure of Commissioner George Quayle. Before his acting appointment, ACP Blake was Deputy Commissioner of Police in charge of strategic operations. And I believe now we are witnessing the acting, I believe we're witnessing the Chief of Defense Staff.
Major General Rocky Mead.
Yes. And he will receive the sword salute, during which he glances over and has a quick look at his troops to ensure that everything is in place and ready to receive the Governor General.
And as we previously stated, 96 members of the Guard of Honor who are looking so resplendent right now are actually came through the Jamaica National Service Corps. And the Jamaica National Service Corps was made possible by an act that was passed in the House of Representatives on April 12, 2017. And the Corps is one of 7 under the government's Housing Opportunity Production and Employment HOPE initiative, which targets job and training opportunities for unattached young people ages 19 to 24 years. Prime Minister the Most Honorable Andrew Holness announced the launch of HOPE last year during his 2017-18 budget debate presentation in the House of Representatives.
Yes, we are witnessing the arrival of we had witnessed the arrival of the Commissioner of Police and then the arrival of the Chief of Defense Staff, and we expect members of the Senate to arrive, take their place in the chamber, and also members of the House of Representatives to arrive afterwards and proceed into the conference rooms.
And Acting Commissioner Blake will meet the wife of the Governor General, Her Excellency Lady Allen.
While Chief of Defense Staff, Major General Rocky Mead, he will be the one to receive His Excellency the Governor General, Sir Patrick Allen.
Now, Acting Commissioner Blake replaced Commissioner George Quayle. And before his acting appointment, ACP Blake was Deputy Commissioner of Police in charge of strategic operations. Before the Governor General arrives, we'll be witnessing the arrivals of members of the government and opposition. Members of the government, of course, led by Prime Minister the Most Honorable Andrew Holness, and members of the opposition led by the Honorable Dr. Peter Phillips, Leader of the Opposition.
And here we are seeing, well, we were just seeing the south side of Duke Street, where the members of the People's National Party, who are now forming the opposition, are gathering. And it's a lovely day here, Lorraine.
It is indeed a lovely day. And it reflects such a new start, I would say. The start
Absolutely.
of the legislative year gives the government an opportunity to outline its strategic priorities for the new parliamentary year. And of course, we will get information on that during the Governor General's throne speech, where he will present the framework of what the government will be focusing on for the 2018-2019 legislative year.
Absolutely. We had mentioned that several dignitaries were arriving. We witnessed a few minutes back the arrival of the boss of the PIOJ.
On your screen now, members of the opposition, People's National Party, led by Dr. Peter Phillips.
Making their way down Duke Street towards Gordon House.
From the southern end.
Absolutely. Waving to supporters as they go. It's always a high time, the opening of Parliament, where many come out to see their chosen representatives and also to show their support for their particular persuasion.
On your screen now, members of the government, the ruling Jamaica Labour Party, led by Prime Minister, the Most Honourable Andrew Holness, and wife of the Prime Minister, the Most Honourable Juliet Holness.
Flanked by other members of the party, ministers of government, senators, coming from the north side of Duke Street. As we mentioned previously, this tradition of north and south possibly stems from the JLP gathering at the old BITU headquarters. And so the PNP to the opposite side, they come from north and south, converge on Gordon House and enter, awaiting the arrival of the Governor General.
Members of the government and opposition, senators and members of parliament will take their seats inside Gordon House as we await the arrival of the Governor General and his presentation of the throne speech. We're expecting that to start at approximately 11 a.m. And this year, the theme of the Governor General's throne speech is continuing on the path to prosperity.
Yes, the speech itself will outline the government's agenda for the coming session, its proposed policies and legislation. It sort of sets the foundation for the tabling of the 2018-2019 estimates of expenditure, which will occur later on this afternoon.
And we're expecting that the Governor General will address several topical issues, including crime, including housing, including employment, and of course the needs.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, you're seeing now on your screen, the members have just about finished filing in. The street will be cleared for the final two arrivals.
Some more about the Guard of Honor now. As we said earlier, the commander is Captain Raymond Warren, and subaltern of the Guard is Lieutenant Blake J. Roper. The parade regimental sergeant major is Warrant Officer Class 1 Christopher Allen. Right Guide Warrant Officer Class 2 is Everton Black. Well, the right guide is Warrant Officer Class 2 Everton Black, while the left guide is Staff Sergeant Kenyon Bygrave. There we have the Guard of Honor. The conducting warrant officer is Horace Thomas, while the color escorts, those are the ones in the center who have been chosen to carry the colors of the unit. The color ensigns are Lieutenant Javal J. Dunn and Second Lieutenant Brian Clark.
Lorraine, you had mentioned the colors, and I'd love to speak on that. You may see several, there you go. It's reminiscent of the flag, but we don't call them flags during this. They are called colors. And we'll have more to say, especially on this particular color that we're seeing on our screens right now, which looks like the Jamaican flag, but in fact isn't quite the Jamaican flag, but a representative of something else entirely.
And the color escorts are Staff Sergeant Michael Wallace and Sergeant Dwayne Ebanks. The drum major of the massed bands, which we heard playing earlier, is Staff Sergeant Derek Brown. So all is in place now as we await the arrival of Their Excellencies Sir Patrick and Lady Allen.
While we await their arrivals, you are seeing on your screen again the colors. We mentioned that one is reminiscent of the Jamaican flag, but it bears a coat of arms or crest in the middle, and that one is known as the Queen's color, and it is representative of the monarch as Jamaica's head of state. And to the right, that color is known as it is the color that represents the regiment or unit of the JDF that forms the Guard of Honor.
And in this instance, it's the 1st Jamaica Regiment.
Absolutely. But we're zooming in now on what we call the Queen's color, the representation of the Queen, who is still the head of Jamaica.
I believe we are seeing the arrival of Her Excellency, Lady Allen. And she will be met by the Acting Commissioner of Police, Clifford Blake.
I believe at this point we are witnessing the arrival of Her Excellency Lady Allen, but we will be able to confirm fully in just a few seconds.
On your screen, Lady Allen, she's met by Acting Commissioner Blake, and she will be escorted inside Gordon House.
Only one arrival left to go, and that would be Governor General Sir Patrick Allen. He arrives last, and he will be met by the Chief of Defense Staff, Major General Rocky Meade. And here we have Lady Allen and her party being led into Gordon House.
As you were saying, Theodore, it is indeed a beautiful day outside Gordon House today.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And we can probably speak a bit more about the color party as we await the arrival of the Governor General. The color party, and remember we're speaking of the flags, they're called colors in this situation. The color party includes the color ensigns and escorts, and these are two officers who are honored to carry the colors of the unit. Today's color ensigns are Lieutenant Javal J. Dunn and Second Lieutenant Brian Clark.
On screen now, you will see the Governor General making his arrival,
and he arrives with a mounted escort. There's a flurry of activity around the arrival of His Excellency, the Governor General, Sir Patrick Allen.
The Governor General will be met by Major General Rocky Mead, Chief of Defense Staff.
And he receives the salute, exits the vehicle, and he will proceed to the red carpet parade.
Yes, he will make his way onto the saluting dais so that he can be seen by all. The Governor General makes his way on the red carpet.
And he will receive one of two salutes. First salute will occur when he reaches to the dais, and then he will proceed to inspect the Guard of Honor. Then he will receive the second royal salute. He's now on the dais.
There you have it. It appears that the national flag is touching the ground, which would be a breach of the flag code. But this is in fact
the Queen's color.
So the Queen's color is in the design format of the national flag. It is actually not the national flag, and it does properly touch the ground as a sort of supreme compliment to the head of state, or in this case, the standing representative of the head of state, the Governor General. The Governor General will now proceed to inspect the Guard of Honor.
As we have mentioned before, this morning's Guard of Honor is furnished by the Jamaica Defense Force, and it is the 1st Battalion, the Jamaica Regiment. It is to be noted, of course, that the Guard of Honor includes 96 members of the Jamaica National Service Corps, and we cannot note this enough. We are absolutely proud of these splendidly arrayed gentlemen.
Playing in the background, the massed bands led by Drum Major Staff Sergeant Derek Brown.
As the Governor General conducts his inspection, we should note that the Guards of Honor are placed in a very specific formation. The right half with the Guard Commander, they stand to the front, then in the center with the color party, then to the left are the others with the subaltern to the Guard.
After after he completes his inspection, the Governor General will receive the second royal salute. Then he will be escorted into the Chamber of Parliament, which is hosting a joint sitting of both houses of Parliament. So the Senate and the House of Representatives, the upper and lower houses, are meeting today for the ceremonial opening of Parliament.
Yes.
Governor General has completed his inspection. Time now for the royal salute,
where he returns to the red carpet and the dais for that salute. Again, that supreme compliment to the head of state, or in this case, the representative of the head of state, the Governor General.
Once again, rest assured that that is not the national flag that's touching the ground. That is actually the Queen's color, and it properly touches the ground as sort of a supreme honor to the representative of Jamaica's head of state. The Governor General is now being escorted into the chamber by Chief of Defense Staff, Major General Rocky Meade, and his entrance will be met by a flourish of trumpets, which signals his arrival inside Gordon House.
During PBCJ. It has been a lovely morning so far. We are now going to be joining the representatives inside for the sitting, as Lorraine said, a gathering of both upper and lower houses that will go into the afternoon. Thank you for joining us thus far, and please stick around for the rest of the formal opening of the parliamentary year.
Madam Clerk, would you kindly invite the members of the Honorable House of Representatives to attend at the place appointed for the meeting of the Senate. I now invite the President of the Jamaica Council of Churches to say a prayer.
Let us pray. Almighty God, from whom all wisdom and power are derived, we beseech thee so to direct and prosper the deliberations of this Parliament now assembled, that all things may be ordered upon the best and surest foundations for the glory of thy name and for the safety, honor, and welfare of the people of this island. Bless our sovereign lady, Queen Elizabeth, Philip, Duke of Edinburgh, Charles, Prince of Wales, and all the royal family. Give grace to all who exercise authority in our Commonwealth, that peace and happiness, truth and justice, religion and piety may be established among us. Especially we pray for the Governor General of our island, the Prime Minister, the Leader of the Opposition, the Senators and members of the House of Representatives, that they may be enabled faithfully to perform the responsible duties of their high office. All this we ask for thy great name's sake. Amen. Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come. Thy will be done in earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive them that trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. The Lord bless us and keep us. The Lord make his face to shine upon us and be gracious unto us. The Lord lift up his countenance upon us and give us peace, now and always. Amen.
Please be seated.
The Constitution of Jamaica, a proclamation by His Excellency, the Most Honorable Sir Patrick Linton Allen, Member of the Order of the Nation, Knight Grand Cross of the Most Distinguished Order of St. Michael and St. George, Commander of the Order of Distinction, Knight of Grace of the Most Venerable Order of the Hospital of St. John of Jerusalem, Governor General of Jamaica. Whereas it is provided by subsection 1 of section 63 of the Constitution of Jamaica that each session of Parliament of Jamaica shall be held at such place and shall commence at such time as the Governor General may by proclamation appoint. And whereas it is expedient that a session of the Parliament of Jamaica should be held at such place and commence at such time as shall hereinafter appear. Now, therefore, I, Patrick Linton Allen, Member of the Order of the Nation, Knight Grand Cross of the Most Distinguished Order of St. Michael and St. George, Commander of the Order of Distinction, Knight of Grace of the Most Venerable Order of the Hospital of St. John of Jerusalem, Governor General of Jamaica, in exercise of the power conferred on me by subsection 1 of section 63 of the Constitution of Jamaica, do hereby proclaim and make known that a session of the Parliament of Jamaica shall be held at George William Gordon House in the parish of Kingston, commencing at 11 o'clock a.m. on the 15th day of February 2018. given under my hand and the broad seal of Jamaica at King's House this 8th day of February in the year of our Lord 2018, and the 67th year of the reign of Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II. God save the Queen.
President and the members of the Senate, Speaker and members of the House of Representatives, I'm pleased to present my government's plans and programs for the fiscal year 2018 through 2019. We are thankful that all branches of the state can gather in this collegial fashion to hear and be guided by the legislative agenda, policies, programs, and general direction set by the administration to secure the prosperity of the people. We once again recommit ourselves to working complementarily and earnestly to achieve the set objectives in true and faithful service to our people. Through a united effort as one nation, one people, one family, we can nurture the germinating seeds of our success, our prosperity. Organized crime and the resulting violence and homicide it produces is the biggest threat to citizens' security and continues to stymie the growth and prosperity of our country. Jamaicans are saying enough is enough. The administration has shown that it is prepared to take the tough and resolute measures needed to tackle the crime monster, and there are signs that a coalition is being developed across all sectors of the island to address this issue, which is caused by only a minority of Jamaicans. When members of this honorable House voted together to approve the extension of the state of public emergency in St. James, it sent a signal that the political directorate is prepared to unite against the criminals who have caused too much hurt, too much pain, and too much tears over the past many, many years. For this year, the administration is committed to providing additional resources and support to the anti-crime fight. The justice system will also be given special attention, while the social interventions targeting unattached youth will continue in earnest. Honorable members, this fight against crime is one that we all must be a part of. It is one that we cannot afford to lose, and one that every Jamaican who wants to see a brighter day must be encouraged to join. In order to achieve the Jamaica we want, all branches of the state, the whole government, all ministries, departments, and agencies must understand their critical role and its intersection and interconnection with other functions to create a seamlessly integrated machinery that can overcome any challenge and ultimately secure the prosperity of the Jamaican people. The National Identification System, NIDS. Honorable members, ensuring that every citizen of Jamaica can be identified and known to the state so that their rights and entitlements can be preserved and planned for in advance is necessary. It is necessary for the country to continue on that path to prosperity. The National Identification System will provide a comprehensive and secure structure to capture and store personal identity information of individuals. NIDS will become the primary source for identity verification and will improve governance and management in the delivery of security services, social benefits, and economic programs. This year, the planned National Identification and Registration Authority regulations will be developed and tabled in the House by September 2018. Other initiatives for this year include: 1, the acquisition of a national identification system to meet the business needs of the government of Jamaica and the private sector, and this will satisfy, in particular, the Know Your Customer requirements of the financial sector. The continuation of the digitization of the records of the Registrar General's Department. The development of processes to link the records of births and deaths to prevent identity theft. The commencement of the transformation of the RGD into the National Identification and Registration Authority, and the establishment of a national address database indicating where all parcels of land are located within the island, in order to support the enrollment of persons in the NIDS. Youth employment in the digital and animation industries, housing opportunity production, employment, the HOPE project. Honorable members, the country welcomes the first signs of prosperity as reported in our job creation figures generally and specifically for our young people. Youth unemployment fell by 7% from October 2016 to October 2017. Notwithstanding, this administration remains very concerned about the levels of unemployment among women and youths, despite the last fiscal year recording the lowest level of unemployment over the past 10 years. The virtual economy presents a unique and attractive opportunity for creative young Jamaicans to access employment opportunities globally while residing locally. Jamaica is particularly well poised to take advantage of this opportunity due to our geographical and cultural proximity to the outsourcing markets of the Western Hemisphere. The administration has tested the model of engaging unattached youth in a program of learning, earning, giving back to the country through service, and saving while working, the LEGS program. This year, the government will seek to scale up these programs and make them available to more unattached youth. Public sector transformation implementation. The transformation of the public sector will continue this year with 18 public bodies slated to be rationalized. The creation of a central database of all government employees is also to be done to allow evidence-based decisions. Honorable members, the government has been steadfastly implementing its economic program for its continued reform agenda. The benefits of credible economic policies are evidenced by the macroeconomic stability, low inflation, strong international reserves, and low current account deficits. Macroeconomic stability has been supported by strong fiscal discipline, which has delivered the requisite primary surpluses to put public debt on a firm downward trajectory. The priority policies of the government continue to be geared towards, one, enabling growth and national development through a sound and predictable macroeconomic policy framework that maintains low inflation, a stable exchange rate, and competitive interest rates. Two, improving revenue administration by creating a simple, equitable, and competitive tax environment to enhance growth and ensure greater compliance. Three, strengthening the level of financial accountability and efficiency of the public sector. Four, strengthening the capacity of the government to effectively regulate financial institutions, ministries, departments, and agencies, and combat financial crimes. And five, improving the internal efficiency and effectiveness of the Ministry of Finance and the public service. The Jamaica Customs Agency will continue to drive economic growth through trade facilitation, revenue collection, and border protection. This year, the agency will improve the rate of detection of contraband, prohibited and uncustomed goods through the procurement of more cargo imaging scanners to be deployed more widely at various ports of entry. To enhance trade and revenue, the JCA will intensify the implementation of its trade facilitation program, further simplifying, harmonizing, standardizing, and automating as necessary its rules, procedures, and processes, particularly in the area of technology and the ASYCUDA world system, to improve service delivery and reliability. Honorable members, this year the administration will be seeking your approval for a number of legislative measures designed to improve crime-fighting efforts and better enable law enforcement agencies to interdict criminals. These include, one, the Police Service Act, which will replace the Constabulary Force Act and provide for the modernization and transformation of the Jamaican Constabulary Force. Into a modern, intelligence-led police service that ensures citizen security with stronger systems of administration, management, and internal discipline. Two, merger of the Police Services Commission and the Police Civilian Oversight Authority, which will require amendments to the Constitution that relate to the Police Services Commission. Three, Firearms Amendment Act will seek to amend the primary legislation by making provisions relating to the following. One, the establishment of criminal offenses pertaining to the illicit manufacturing of and trafficking in firearms in keeping with Jamaica's international obligations. Two, effective control and security measures, including the disposal of firearms in order to prevent theft and diversion to usage in criminal activities. And three, ensuring that the revised Firearms Act is compatible with international standards and obligations of the government of Jamaica. For the Fingerprint Amendment Act will seek to strengthen the forensic investigative powers and capacity of law enforcement agencies. One of the proposed amendments includes a provision to allow the taking of fingerprints from objects left in public spaces. 5, the Proceeds of Crime Amendment Act, POCA. This is to ensure compliance with the recommendations emanating from the Caribbean Financial Action Task Force Manual Evaluation of Jamaica, conducted in 2016, as well as to update the Act for greater effectiveness. Regulations will also be developed for the Asset Recovery Incentivization Scheme to guide the use of funds recovered for national development. 6, Criminal Justice Suppression of Criminal Organizations Act will be reviewed in accordance with legislative requirements to review same within 3 years of its enactment. 7, the Parole Amendment Act. The amendments will seek to update, modernize, and strengthen the legislation to bring it in line with current trends, international standards, and best practices. 8, amendments to the Immigration Restriction, Commonwealth Citizens Act, Aliens Act, and the attendant regulations. The proposed amendments seek to focus on stricter penalties, giving immigration officers more robust authority, and the use of an automated border control system, among other things. 9, the Corrections Amendment Act. Amendments will seek to update and strengthen the law and make it more aligned to current trends. The provisions will include, inter alia, provisions for a new definition of communication that takes into consideration modern technological advances and increases in existing penalties for breaches. 10, the Justice Protection Amendment Bill. Amendments will seek to provide for greater protection of witnesses. The amendments will also strengthen the government's capabilities and effectiveness for the provision of services to protect witnesses. In addition to the legislative measures, the government will continue to focus on strengthening its administrative and technological capabilities, crime prevention, community safety measures, and rehabilitation and redemption. As we seek to make our nation more secure and promote the respect for the rule of law, we must also strengthen our justice system. Honorable members, the administration has already indicated that the legislative and constitutional reform program is among the 7 priority programs and projects set out in the Ministry of Justice's Strategic Business Plan 2018 to 2021 and the Operational Plan 2018-2019. The legislative agenda will include Authentication Foreign Public Documents Bill 2017. This allows for Jamaica to accede to the United Nations Convention that will allow public documents from Jamaica to be accepted in other countries. 2, statutory review of the Sexual Offences Act, as required by law every 4 years. 3, Constitution Amendment, Appointment of Additional Judges Act 2017, and the Judicature Parish Courts Amendment Act 2017, to amend the Constitution to enable the retention of retired judges on a fixed-term basis. 4, Judicature Resident Magistrates Amendment Bill and the Judicature Appellate Jurisdiction Amendment to allow the prosecution to have a limited right of appeal. The administration's program will contribute to the achievement of a modernized justice system that Jamaicans deserve, starting with reducing the backlog of indictments and summary matters in the parish courts, improving the delivery of the justice services in 8 additional parishes through justice centers by 2019 and establishing the single anti-corruption agency. The Justice Ministry will also work with the courts and the Ministry of Finance and the Public Service to increase the number of staff in the courts, to increase efficiency and effectiveness. Honorable members, as we seek to protect and preserve and promote life, we must secure our health by actively promoting a healthy lifestyle. In this fiscal year, the focus will continue to be on creating a healthier Jamaica and programs to rehabilitate and make new investments in critical health infrastructure. Productivity of all sectors hinges on the health and well-being of our people. And while focusing on prevention, we must also continue to expand access and improve the quality of care to optimize the quality of life of all Jamaicans. Such programs will include: 1, the completion of the pre-investment works and groundbreaking for the construction of a child and adolescent hospital in Western Jamaica. 2, Phase 2 of the Cornwall Regional Hospital Rehabilitation Project, which includes significant work on the ventilation system. This will also be completed. 3, increased use of technology, partnerships, and improved processes to enhance client satisfaction. And 4, continuing to place priority on the promotion of a healthy and active lifestyle as a means of countering the ongoing epidemic of non-communicable diseases, NCDs, through the Jamaica Moves campaign. This was launched with much success as the government's signature health promotion intervention last year, with emphasis on increased physical activity, healthy eating, and regular health checks. The focus of the government continues to be on creating a modern and efficient ecosystem that provides the foundation for economic growth and job creation. The Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation's portfolio areas are symbiotically aligned to drive economic growth in a sustainable manner. Honorable members, some key initiatives are highlighted. Housing. The strategic review of the National Housing Trust was completed in November 2017. The review will be brought to Parliament in the first quarter of this fiscal year for discussions and implementation of accepted recommendations within the context of our Vision 2030 goals. This should begin soon thereafter. During 2017-2018, directives were given to the NHT to further increase construction activities. This was achieved. The spin-off effect has resulted in the Trust being on target to achieve 5,500 housing starts for the fiscal year 2017-2018. In July 2017, the NHT began implementing several policy changes and initiatives geared at improving housing accessibility and affordability. Chief among them were: 1, the implementation of a partnership between the Trust and credit unions that will provide persons earning less than $30,000 per week with housing-related funding of up to $1.5 million. 2, providing 100% financing to qualified applicants to acquire NHT scheme solutions. 3, increasing the amount accessible to qualified persons through the NHT Home Grants Program to $2.5 million, up from $1.5 million. In addition to those key adjustments, there was a realignment of the 4 interest rate bands in which NHT contributors are categorized. For 2018-2019 fiscal year, the National Housing Trust will deliver 4,734 housing completions and 6,369 housing starts to the market. 2, create more than 8,000 new loans. 3, review the housing development process and related policies to shorten the development cycle. 4, implement measures to incentivize developers to participate in the low-income housing segment. And 5, implement a framework for partnership with employers, targeted industries, for the provision of housing and unique mortgages to their employees. Through greater access to funding and the creation of more housing solutions to the market, the National Housing Trust will continue to make home ownership a reality for more Jamaicans in 2018-2019. Water. The government continues to work towards the availability and sustainable management of water and sanitation for all. In the new fiscal year, 2018-2019, the administration will continue to implement several projects and programs to expand capacity and infrastructure, protect revenue, regularize service and users, and protect water sources. 2 of these major programs and projects to be implemented by the government through its departments and agencies are: 1, construction and maintenance of rural water systems. $120 million will be spent on the repair and upgrading of the rural water systems, including catchment tank, rehabilitation, and rainwater harvesting. And 2, irrigation systems. The ministry plans to spend roughly $100 million on the rehabilitation of irrigation systems to improve delivery of irrigated water to farms, towards enhancing agricultural productivity and food security. Works. The administration is paying keen attention to the growing problem of vehicular traffic congestion in our town centers and urban areas. The number of registered motor vehicles in Jamaica stands at 650,000, almost doubling in the last decade and growing presently at a rate of almost 4% annually. Our current roadways and intersections were not designed to carry these volumes of vehicular traffic. In the upcoming fiscal year, 2018-2019, under the Major Infrastructure Development Program, MIDP, the government will improve the carrying capacity of the following major traffic corridors. 1, completion of the Barbican Road and Mandela Highway improvement projects. 2, commencement and completion of Ferris Cross to Macfield. And 3, commencement of civil works on Constant Spring and Hagley Park Road projects. Congestion is not only a function of carrying capacity of our roadways, it is a function of the discipline and consideration of road users as well. The National Works Agency will continue the build-out of its broadband fiber optic infrastructure, on which several smart technological applications will be installed to improve traffic management, enforcement, and road safety and security. This This fiscal year will see the installation of more cameras, license plate recognition, and other technologies to improve traffic regulation and enforcement. Under the pilot program for climate resilience, PPCR Phase 2, improving climate data and information management, the government continues to work toward the improvement of Jamaica's climate change resilience through the procurement of hydro and agro-meteorological equipment and spare parts for the Meteorological Services of Jamaica, MSJ, Water Resources Authority, WRA, and the Rural Agricultural Development Authority, RADA. A new Doppler weather radar system, a sea level monitoring station, an improved climate data information platform, and further implementation of climate change education and awareness and behavior change campaigns. Honorable members, the major productive elements of the real economy span agriculture, the distributive trade, and manufacturing. We must maximize the linkages for success. Following a 13.5% growth in the agriculture sector in 2016, the sector suffered from a period of adverse weather in 2017, including drought in early 2017, floods in May, June, and continuous rainfall into December. As such, preliminary estimates indicate that we will have a decline of 4%. But despite the adverse weather, there have been notable achievements. This includes continued self-sufficiency in eggs, poultry, pork, and tubers, 88% self-sufficiency in table Irish potato, and growth in non-traditional exports such as yam, ackee, and sweet potato. This year, the government will embark on an aggressive legislative agenda to support its strategic priorities to ensure food security, sustainable use of agricultural land and fisheries resources, and facilitate an enabling local business environment. The legislation to be passed and enacted include 1, the Fisheries Bill, which will repeal and replace the existing Act for the better management of the fishing industry. 2, the Animals, Disease and Importation, Change of Name and Amendment Bill, to facilitate importation, distribution, storage, etc., of animals and animal products and byproducts with regard to disease and safety. 3, the Insolvency Amended Act, to provide for regulation for insolvent financial institutions. 4, the Patents and Designs Bill, to ensure protection of local brands and to strengthen the local business environment by facilitating ingenuity as well as compliance with international treaties, including the Patent Cooperation Treaty. The Trademarks Amendment Bill, to ensure protection of local brands and to strengthen the local business environment by facilitating ingenuity as well as to give effect to the Madrid Protocol. The Scrap Metal Act, Senate, to transform the scrap metal regulation to an act for better enforcement, including the restriction of brass for export. Honorable members, last year was a busy one for the administration as it sought to improve access to basic services for all Jamaicans. This buzz of activity will continue this year with One, the enactment of the National Solid Waste Management Disposal of Solid Waste Regulations to regulate the kinds of material which may be disposed of at a landfill and the manner in which such disposal is done, to impose tipping fees on users of the landfill based on waste burden placed on the landfill by those users, as well as to deal with the disposal of electronic waste. Two, the enactment of the National Solid Waste Management Public Cleansing Regulation. The enactment of the National Solid Waste Management Disposal of Hazardous Waste, Electronic and Electrical Waste Regulations. And four, amendments to the Fire Brigade Act to abolish the board of the Jamaica Fire Brigade and transfer the functions of the board to the Ministry of Local Government and Community Development. The government will embark on the construction of fire stations in Montego Bay, Port Maria, and Yallas. As part of the World Bank Disaster Vulnerability Project, which is to be administered by the Jamaica Social Investment Fund, JSIF. The administration will construct 2 drop-in centers in Trelawney and St. Thomas, making 8 drop-in centers around the island as temporary accommodation for transient homeless persons. The government will also build 4 homes for registered indigent persons this year in a program to build 28 indigent homes across the island. The government will also purchase 12 garbage trucks as it moves towards enhanced waste collection and disposal. Honorable members, the frequent attacks on our women and girls continue to be a major worry for all Jamaicans. This year, the Sexual Harassment Bill to protect all women and men from unwanted sexual advances that affect the quality of life will be tabled. The proposed Gender Advisory Council is also to be established and operationalized to provide direct oversight for implementation of the National Strategic Action Plan for Gender-Based Violence and also to rethink the gender discussion. This year, the administration will begin work to build out entertainment zones in Fort Charles and Fort Rocky, Port Royal, Seville in St. Anne, Westmoreland, and St. Catherine. The necessary legislative work and amendments to the various laws regulating entertainment will also be done in parallel. The government will further satisfy and intensify its successful strategy of leveraging Brand Jamaica to attract international teams from various colleges and professional leagues to train in Jamaica. The government will also be targeting world sporting bodies to host conferences in Jamaica. The government has made significant strides to enhance the tourism sector. In supporting the government's strategic priority of economic growth and job creation, the Ministry of Tourism employed the 5x5x5 growth strategy, which targets a 5% increase in visitor arrivals annually and US $5 billion in foreign exchange earnings within a 5-year period. This year, the government will table the Tourism Workers' Pension Bill and regulations, the Tourist Board Act amendment, the Travel Agency Act and regulations, the Bath of the Apostle Act and Milk River Act amendment. During 2018-2019, the Ministry of Tourism and its portfolio agencies will be guided in its implementation of projects by the government's overarching program areas of focus which include destination marketing, airlift support, and tourism worker welfare. This year, Jamaica's economic development will be enhanced by the science and technology sectors through growth in industries, increased production of value-added products, innovations, increased number of local patents being registered, employment, and the energy sector through the development of energy infrastructure, security, and efficiency to sustain the productive sectors. The government, through its agency, the Petroleum Corporation of Jamaica, will implement the Energy Management and Efficiency Program, EMEP, sponsored by the IDB and JICA, that is, the Inter-American Development Bank and the Japan International Cooperation Agency, commencing in fiscal year 2018-2019. The three main objectives of the EMEP include: 1, reduced electricity consumption and carbon dioxide emission in public sector facilities, including hospitals, educational institutions, and public sector facilities. 2, reduction in travel times and fuel consumption through improved traffic control management. And 3, increased capacity in the Ministry of Science, Energy, and Technology so that it is enabled to update its integrated resource plan for Jamaica. The government will seek to enact the following legislation: 1, Data Protection Act; 2, the Information and Communications Technology Act, Telecommunications Act repeal; 3, Information and Communications Authority Act; 4, the Electric Power Wheeling Regulations; 5, the Electricity Net Billing Regulations; 6, the Electrical Work Registration and Licensing Regulations Resolution; and 7, the Petroleum Quality Control Act. The connection between our productivity as a people and our economic growth will continue to be emphasized this year as the administration does its part to move Jamaica where we all want it to be. This year, the government will continue the amendments to the Minimum Wage Act to incorporate provisions related to the International Labour Organization ILO Convention 189 relating to domestic workers. The government will also continue to facilitate job creation through growth in the overseas program. This is being executed through a two-pronged approach. The first is to undertake measures to equip the workers with the necessary training and certification to enhance their ability to take advantage of available opportunities. The second is to identify and secure new job opportunities in the United States of America and Canada. Discussions are being held with a major university in Canada to facilitate training programs for our farm workers. the long-awaited tabling of Jamaica's Occupational Safety and Health OSH Act occurred at the beginning of the 2017-2018 fiscal year, and this year, this bill will be placed higher on the legislative agenda of the Honorable House and given the opportunity to be sufficiently ventilated. Last year, the government placed great emphasis on the early childhood level of education and continued the program to convert basic schools into infant schools and infant departments. A total of 20 infant schools and infant departments were established during the period, and $30 million was allocated to reactivate early childhood intervention programs, with some 25 basic schools rationalized. This year, the support program for the 0 to 3 years will be a focus as the early childhood education rationalization program continues. Funds are to be provided from the e-learning budget allocation to assist in the sustainability of ICT in schools from the early childhood to the secondary level, and 5 new schools are to be constructed. The first 2 are slated to be constructed in Manchester. The legislative priorities for the fiscal year 2018-2019 include: 1, the modernization of the legislation governing broadcast and content regulation. This will address payola, digital television switchover, a technology-agnostic definition of broadcasting, legislation to strengthen the regulation of harmful content for the protection of children and vulnerable audiences. 2, the recommendations from the review of the Child Care and Protection Act should be set before the Chief Parliamentary Council and promulgated. 3, the completion of the review of the Child Adoption Act should be achieved. 2 areas of focus for the government this year will be integrated transport development and promotion of the minerals sector. Work on the phased resumption of the rail service will be intensified this year with the start of construction of Phase 1 from Montego Bay to Appleton. The new road traffic bill, which repealed and replaced the existing 1938 Act, was passed in the House of Representatives on February 6, 2018. It will establish new offenses as well as provide increased penalties for breaches. It is intended to reduce injuries and loss of life on the nation's roads, thus leading to savings in the health sector. Every road user is encouraged to take personal responsibility for their own safety and the safety of others using our roads. The bauxite and alumina sector has started to see steady growth and will continue as the major players enhance expansion or modernization activities. The finalization of the National Mineral Policy and Action Plan will also take place this year. Honorable members, we influence global matters, and the government continues to strengthen the links between Jamaica and the world. This year, Jamaica's Prime Minister will assume the chairmanship of CARICOM from July 1 to December 31. This provides Jamaica with an opportunity to influence the community's policy direction, development agenda, and the regional integration process. Jamaica will also use the opportunity to engage with CARICOM member states on the recently tabled recommendations of the report of the CARICOM Review Commission. The government will also seek parliamentary approval of the foreign trade policy and ensure its timely implementation while recognizing the importance of expanding foreign trade to the economic growth agenda. In addition, the government will intensify the implementation of initiatives aimed at enhancing access by Jamaican nationals, skilled workers, and businesses to the Caribbean single market and economy's free movement regime. Members of this honorable House, Jamaica is now at the most crucial time in its development. There are encouraging signs that this land we love is poised for great things. This administration is under no illusion as to the challenges. However, we know through the strength of our mighty people, we can accomplish what we We are seeing the first sprouts of the sacrifices that we have made as a nation. We must unite as one people and as one family to protect these germinating seeds of our prosperity. Let us join together to fight against crime and violence. Let us join together to fight against corruption. Let us join together to fight against the abuse of our women and the children, the disabled, and the unfortunate. Let us join together in the fight against any force, attitude, or approach which threatens to block, divert, or impede our pathway forward. Let us join together to protect the economic gains that we have made. Let us join together to fight to grow our economy and to protect our environment, to bring our people the bountiful harvest they deserve. The time for unity is now. Honorable members, honorable members, honorable members, we all have an opportunity to work in partnership for the good of all Jamaicans. And we all have an opportunity to demonstrate to our people that together, united as one nation under God, through fellowship and prosperity, we can advance the interests and welfare of all Jamaicans. Thank you, and God bless you, and God bless Jamaica, land we love.
Fighting goes the delivery of justice, and this too was identified as a crucial pillar of the strategy of governance going forward. Road safety and the ease of commuting was another emphasis of the speech, where government's dedication to the improvement of roadways was reiterated. Tourism was also mentioned, and taking care of Jamaica land we love's physical environs was also featured highly in the speech, with plans from the Ministry of Local Government and Community Development, including new solid waste disposal regulations.
So the members of the House of Representatives, first the Governor General will retire from the chamber, then the members, or withdraw from the chamber, then the members of the House of Representatives will follow, preceded by the Honorable Speaker, the Honorable Prime Minister, and the Leader of the Opposition.
I believe the members of the Senate will remain for
a short sitting. And later on, Finance Minister Audley Shaw will return to table the estimates of expenditure for the 2018-19 fiscal year, which is basically a plan, the government's proposal for spending for the new fiscal year.
On your screens now, you're seeing their excellencies being escorted to their car, stopping briefly for a photo op and a final salute, where they'll be leaving Gordon House now. We thank you for joining us for this formal opening of the parliamentary year. I'm Theodore Henry.
And I'm Lorraine Mendez. Thank you so much for joining us.
And do take care.
to our people that together, united as one nation under God, through fellowship and prosperity, we can advance the interest and welfare of all Jamaicans. On that note, Mr. President, it is not our intention to do any further business today, and we therefore move for the adjournment of the sitting of the Senate for a date to be fixed.
The question is that the Senate be adjourned to be adjourned for a date to be fixed. Those in favor? Aye. Against? I think the ayes have it. The Senate now stands adjourned.
A message from the Ministry of National Security.
We are Jamaica!
Our sorrowful, war-torn world needs a transformation. It needs the second coming of Jesus Christ, the Messiah, to this earth.
This world is sick. As in Noah's time, God will soon say, enough. Then Christ will return with mighty power.
My friends, when will it all end? What is the solution?
Does this look familiar? There's the breakfast fruit drink, the long ride to work energizer, the mid-morning quencher, and the sodas at dinner time. But that many sugary drinks a day add up to more than 50 teaspoons and could bring on obesity, which could lead to type 2 diabetes, heart disease, and even some cancers. Are you drinking yourself sick? Drink water instead. A message from the Heart Foundation of Jamaica, the Ministry of Health, Jamaica Moves.
It's February 15, 2018. This is the news on PBCJ. I am Simone Absalom. Jamaica's economy is estimated to have grown by 1.1% for the October to December quarter of 2017. That's according to the latest data provided by the Planning Institute of Jamaica, the PIOJ. According to the PIOJ, the country also grew by 0.5% for the year ending 2017. This outturn means the economy has grown for 5 consecutive years. The PIOJ also says that the outlook on Jamaica's economic future remains positive. PIOJ Director General Dr. Wayne Henry released the latest growth figures at a quarterly media briefing recently. He says growth in the October to December quarter was driven primarily by the rebirth of the mining industry, as well as gains in tourism. Mining grew by a whopping 15%. This was largely due to the bauxite refinery at Alpart exporting its first shipment in November after years of closure. The hotel and restaurant category also grew a healthy 5.5%. It's being reported that a special meeting between representatives of the executive and the judicial arm of the state is to take place on Friday morning. The meeting is to discuss the controversy surrounding the appointment of Brian Sykes to act as Chief Justice. According to Nationwide News, the meeting was reportedly convened by the Governor General following consultations with Jamaica House. On Monday, a statement was issued on behalf of 97 judges who held what they described as a historic summit at the Supreme Court. The judges described as inappropriate and a breach of the Constitution Prime Minister Andrew Holness's reasons for appointing Justice Sykes to act. The Prime Minister had said Justice Sykes should prove himself as a performer before recommendation is made for him to be made permanent in the post. The saga between the Security Ministry and O'Brien's International Car Sales and Rentals continues. The Ministry of National Security has turned over its dispute with O'Brien's International over the delivery of 100 motor vehicles for the Jamaica Constabulary Force to the Attorney General for legal action. This is due to the failure of the car dealership to fulfill its contract to deliver the vehicles. The ministry has so far received 34 vehicles. O'Brien's had reported that another 66 vehicles were on the wharf for delivery. PBCJ understands that the Attorney General has been requested to take action to recover the bulk of the $230 million given to O'Brien's under the contract. The ministry has recovered the $42 million performance bond. Gasoline prices have been cut by almost $3 this week. Petroderm has announced that a litre of E1087 and E1090 will go down by $2.73 effective today. As a result, a litre of E1087 will sell for $120.62, while E1090 will sell for $123.45 per litre. The prices of all other petroleum products have also been reduced. The Press Association of Jamaica is calling on the Police High Command and Intercom to launch immediate investigations into reports of an unprovoked assault by the police on newspaper photographer Rudolph Brown on Tuesday, February 13. A PAJ statement explained, quote, Mr. Brown has reported to us that while in the Crossroads area, he witnessed a commotion, apparently caused by attempts by the police to arrest a man, and he started to use his phone to record the incident. On being told to stop by the police sergeant on location, he says he clearly identified himself as a member of the media, both verbally and by showing his company ID card, which was around his neck, end quote. The PAJ said Mr. Brown continued to record the proceedings until a police constable sprayed pepper spray directly into his eyes, causing him severe pain and distress. Early education using cultural and creative arts can help resolve some of the social issues affecting young people in Jamaica. This belief is shared by Pay Associates following their intervention activities in Hanover. The project was implemented between the years 2000 and 2005 due to high teenage pregnancy rates in Hanover. Members of the non-government organization told JIS think tank that youngsters' actions are being affected by their level of financial and educational achievements, as well as responsible decision-making. Mrs. Russell Brown, director of Pay Associates, said that the project took a multi-layer approach.
Another important finding was that there was no difference in the age of first sex between students from Askanish and students from K-Valley. Where we found a difference was that the students from Askanish, the full-blown intervention school, had used protection at the first sexual experience and had delayed their pregnancy by a whole year compared to the students from K-Valley. And again, this is supported by the literature that exists, which says providing young people with information about how to delay their sexual activity does not make them more sexually active. It helps them to protect themselves whenever they're having sexual intercourse.
One of the recommendations that have been made to the Ministry of Education is to maintain the level of support which students experience in primary school, also during secondary school. In regional news, we look to Barbados, where authorities are saying that it will cost the government $12.9 million, that's US $6.45 million, to address the problems that have seen sewage seeping onto the streets of the island's south coast. Minister with responsibility for water resource management, Dr. David Estwick, says Cabinet has approached the Latin American Development Bank, the Inter-American Development Bank, and the Caribbean Development Bank for assistance to implement 3 solutions identified following consultation with regional and international experts. According to the minister, the CAF had approved US $4 million in advance, while the IDB was in discussion with Barbados Water Authority to finalize its funding arrangement. The minister says that based on the recent tests and CCTV imaging carried out by a network by the BWA and a team of consultants, there were 3 major challenges affecting the system, and this will soon be addressed. In sports, 9 more finals will be contested today on the second day of the penultimate day of the County of Cornwall Athletics Association Digital Western Championships, which moved to the Montego Bay Sports Complex at 8 a.m. All 6 of the 1,500-meter races, 3 for each gender, the boys' 3,000 meters open, and 3 triple jumps will be contested today as the teams prepare for Saturday's final day, when finals will be contested in the remaining track events. Today we'll also see heats and semi-finals of the 100 meters, 200 meters, 400 meters in all classes, as well as the semis in the relays 4x100 meters, 4x400 meters, and sprint medley. And that's the news. Thanks so much for making it PBCJ. Remember, we are the People's Station.
Crime is affecting Jamaica in a sense we can't do the normal things people do. As night falls, you have